You need a weapon that can have the ability to fire 20, 30, 40, 50, 120 shots from that weapon, whether it's a 9mm pistol or whether it's a rifle, is ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things.
Welcome back to the Death by Tyranny podcast. I'm glad to see you all came back. Today, we have to try to send a different message. I know a lot of us are angry and very on edge, and we see our nation's foundation crumble from beneath our feet. And no matter how hard that we try to hold up that foundation, the government is constantly using their tyrannical wrecking ball to crumble those walls around us. And that leaves us confused. Why would our government try to destroy itself? That leaves us angry, trying to find a reason for why we are so evil for being who we are. Why is it so evil that I was born a white male and chose to seek the guidance of Christianity? Why does that make me evil? And now, we can't even be labeled in the broad spectrum of conservativeness without being targeted. Candace Owens was recently traveling in Aspen, Colorado over this last week, and she was trying to follow the protocols for travel in Aspen, Colorado. And since she is unvaccinated, and has made that choice for her family, she must receive a COVID test to travel freely in Aspen, Colorado. And on her arrival to get this COVID test, she was denied to even take the test. Trying to not be interruptive and just go along with the tyrannical culture in Aspen, Colorado, Candace Owens decided to follow the rules, make things go a little bit more smoother, and she was denied. Well, I immediately thought maybe, just maybe, she had done something on a plane, maybe didn't wear a mask or something like that. But that didn't make any sense because she's here in Aspen, Colorado, trying to take a COVID test to follow the rules. So I don't believe that she would be denied the COVID test because of something that she did. But it was on the right track. She was denied to take this COVID test because of her thoughts, the way she thinks, and her politics. She reached out to the, I'm assuming, head honcho of whoever's in charge of the COVID mandates in Aspen, Colorado, and was mocked. The lady that she had tried to contact about being denied this COVID test told her pretty much, nana nana boo boo. Stick your head in doo-doo. We're not giving you a COVID test because we don't like your politics. And that's where we are. The people that are on the side of the tyrannical government and worship this vaccine mass cult don't even want us to comply with the rules because they just don't want us in society at all. They have did their best to dehumanize us over the years. with words like white nationalist, Nazi, bigot. But heaven forbid that we would mislabel them or call them out of their name. Then it would be a hate crime. And that's where we are. They want us to be behind bars, or they want us to die. Joe Rogan recently battled with COVID himself, and he decided to seek a non-mainstream pathway to recovery, and he was very successful. He did not say anything out of the norm. He did not call the Pfizer vaccine evil and say it didn't work. He just got on his podcast and explained what he did, how he was affected by it, and how he overcame COVID. And the left stormed Twitter and social media and condemned his actions and hoped and said and wrote that they wished he was dead. Because they didn't, he did not seek recovery on the path that they want us all to take. So they want Candace Owens behind bars for not following laws that they're not allowing her to follow. They want Joe Rogan dead because he found a way to beat COVID that was significantly a better option for him personally, himself. And I'm sure a lot of those messages came from California, where there is almost no hope of saving that state financially, politically. And in California, since they have already pretty much won the culture war in California, and these people follow blindly, they have chosen to progress even more. And I've said it before, everything goes in a cycle, in a circle. You can only progress so far before you are actually hurting the progression. And that's where they are in San Francisco. San Francisco has already done the vaccine mandates, and pretty much most of the businesses out there, they're trying to install the vaccine passport. And now they are to begin paying high-risk people for not committing gun violence. I'm curious to see what the credentials are to make that list. I wonder if it's people that have passed gun violence charges. I don't know how that's going to work out. But it is, in the law, it is to say that they will be paying people $300 a month to not commit gun violence. They also have the opportunity to earn up to $200 more a month if they do things like go to job interviews, and I guess try to be a normal fucking person. They're going to pay people for that in San Francisco. And I'm sure that's going to come from the gun violence tax that they have out there for gun owners, because they pretty much have a registry out in California. And that's why it is so important to fight against any kind of registry when it comes to firearms, because that's where it's going to lead. We're going to end up being taxed. And pretty much we're going to be disarmed, but through a financial route. And like I said, you can only progress so far before it hurts you. If you think charging people a tax every month to own a firearm is progressive, is single mothers, minority mothers in California being assaulted, is that progressive? Because she can't afford to own a firearm now. because she is being taxed out of her Second Amendment. And eventually it will come to when they have these vaccine mandates for 2 vaccines, a booster, and now in Israel they are going to be making people take physical pills after the booster so they don't have symptoms. So like we've said from the beginning, it's just going to progressively get worse. It's not going to stop at the two shots. We've already seen that. We already know that. So what happens when they mandate this? Like I said, they're going through the private sector now, and when it is so normalized, you will see it come down federally. And then when you do not obey your master, what is going to happen is you are going to be disarmed, because it's going to be a felony or a misdemeanor until you go get the vaccine. And then if you don't comply, then there will be legal actions they will try to attack you with. And of course, we know felons can't own firearms. There's just so many ways that this can all go bad, and we keep trying to tell you. Do you honestly think that it's going to stop at just a vaccine passport? When have they showed us in the last 2 years that if we give them an inch, they will not pursue the mile? Every single time. Sorry, it's kind of busy on my road. Why are we paying? I'm assuming some of these high-risk subjects in California that are going to be paid $300 a month are going to be felons. Why are we paying felons not to commit gun violence when Social Security is going to run out in 2033, which is a year sooner than it was when Trump was in office? So we already see a vast speed up process of Social Security running out. Our own president has committed several actions these last couple of weeks that would be impeachable by any other president, especially President Trump. It has now come out that he knew that Afghanistan was in bad shape before he handed it over to the president. He even tried to pretty much bribe him with air support to come out and say that Afghanistan was in a better situation than what it actually was. And I did read the telephone call transcript for Biden and the Afghan president. And I can tell you, if it was anybody else, let alone Trump, they would be impeached. Not only impeached, but actually, the whole nine, removed from office. But we have to do something more with all this anger. We're just going to wake up every day and it's going to keep getting worse. So at what point do we stand up and say enough's enough? They can disrespect the flags that mean something to us. They can disrespect our country's flag. They can disarm us. They can mandate us. What is so different from here and the Communist Party in China? They, being the Chinese government, have already wised up and said, hey, we have progressed too far. There is no masculinity in our youth, which means there will be no masculinity in our military, which means we will not have a military that is able to conquer and succeed in war. While the American military is worried about white rage. The Chinese government comes out and bans men from being feminine on television, trying to correct the progressive path that they sought for so long, because they see what it's doing to America. That's a sad day when the Chinese Communist Party has to stop and say, look at what this does to the most powerful country in the world. We have to do something to correct this. Even the Taliban comes out and mocks us on social media. I mean, we have the Russian dictator Putin come out and say, you know, hey, why don't you look at Facebook? The Taliban, why don't you look at Facebook? I can only imagine what the rest of the world thinks of us at this point. And we are still too scared to stand up and say what we mean and march forward with what we will believe to save this country. It is time to stop being afraid of how we will publicly be executed for our thoughts and ideals. If we do not want this fight to become violent, we are going to have to become very aggressive in our message. Politically, morally, we have to fight now, or it will become violent. And that will be a sad day, but we can't do nothing. So those are our options. Either get aggressive with our mission and try to take back our country, or violence, or watch America collapse. That is up to you. I can only come on here and tell you how fast that America is falling apart, what I believe would be good steps moving forward, and I realize I'm nobody, and probably not a lot of people even hear this, but it's this, or I can sit by and do nothing as well, and I refuse to sit by and do nothing. Who knows? People from my work could watch this, and I could go into work and I could be, made an outcast for my views, and I don't care, because we have to do something. And if I don't do this, I honestly don't know what else to do. I try to be a good citizen and an American and do the things that we're told to do. But that doesn't seem to be working to stop this enormous progressiveness to destroy this country. So I have to take what little energy I have left, instead of being angry and trying to do something else. So maybe if we all took a little bit of that energy we used to be angry about what's happening and did something, it would make a difference. I don't know. I know that when a child in high school takes down a gay pride flag and their community calls it a hate crime and demands justice, while at the same time burn the America flag, something went really wrong really fast, and we got to stop it. And you can say you don't want to offend anybody and you don't want to be hostile towards anybody, and you shouldn't have to be, but they're not giving us the same courtesy in return. So, take down their fucking flags. What are they going to do? Get on social media and cry about it? We can do that too. And speaking of doing something, there's supposed to be a rally at the Capitol, no less, by the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. But the thing is, you know, as much involved in the conservative message that I am, I didn't hear anything about it until it came out on liberal news sites and networks. And the same Nick J. Fuentes from the Amazing American First also noticed this. You know, we didn't hear about this. So it's probably not a good idea to head to the Capitol, you know, anywhere around 9/11 with big groups of white men. That's probably not going to end up very well for them. So if by any chance you were going to be attending that, you might want to make other dinner plans for that day. But what you can do is talk to your children. Make sure if they have to go to public school that, you know, there's not gay pride flags they are pledging their allegiance to, or being bullied into joining Antifa. And if you do find situations like that happening, then you have to fight back. It is time that we set our empathy aside and trying to save people's feelings. Like I said, they will not give us the same courtesy. And I'm trying to be polite as possible and getting to what I'm trying to get to here. But we can't keep doing what we're doing. You can only get on here and say, play nice in the sandbox, while the other kids are punching you in the face so many times. You know, when you back a dog into a corner, and it's a nice dog, and it doesn't normally attack, but it has those instincts to survive, and you get it in the corner, that's where we're at. Now, you can either tuck your tail and whimper, or you don't have to bite just yet, but you can show your teeth a little bit. You can make a little noise to let them know, I don't want to, but I will if I have to. Because our culture that we had 2 years ago, it's gone. We didn't fight for it. We let them take it. We let them dehumanize it. Now we are nothing more than white nationalists. When if we would have turned around in the corner and said, listen, you feminine piece of shit, I will tear your fucking face off if you don't leave me alone and let me do what's best for my family. But we didn't do that. We said, yes, sir. Please put your gay pornography in my children's content. I don't know why you would put gay characters in comic books for children, but go ahead and do that, because what gay people do in the bedroom is completely what my kids need to be thinking about while they're in school, is rushing home and reading that comic book about doing sodomy on another man instead of learning his math equations. It's no longer to be cool to be a hero in a comic book that saves the day. It's cool to write comic books where heroes don't give a fuck and they just sit around and do gay shit all day. I wonder if that happens in China. Maybe it did happen in China. Maybe that's where China is, where they are today, and banning feminist men off their television networks. I mean, if that's your lifestyle, that, you know, I get good for you, I guess, but why do you feel it necessary to have representation in children's content about sex and sodomy, what good do you think that's going to do that child? You know what he's going to grow up, if he doesn't grow up to be gay because it was forced down his throat, he's going to grow up to hate gay people because what he seen growing up was gay people forcing their ideals on people when they shouldn't have. So understand that that method, though it is working quite well right now, is a double-edged sword and can work against you. Or maybe, just maybe, you can keep that fucking shit to yourself where it belongs. You being gay or straight, that has no business being in your identity out in public. That is what you do behind closed doors. Yeah, you don't have to be ashamed of it, but I mean, it's not normal for straight couples to walk around half naked and scream about where they put their dicks and their vaginas all day. But yet, somehow, it's publicly acceptable for homosexuals and gender fluidness people to do that. It is so acceptable to the point where we are putting it in our children's content. And they are labeling it as they deserve representation. No, you don't. Not in children's content. No pornographic material at all. Sexual ideas at all belong in children's content. It's not just homosexual ideals that don't belong in there. That is for the parents to raise their children how they feel is the best way for them to install their morals into their children. That is not your place. I was actually into comic books quite a bit, but I'll be damned if I'm going to support a company that is going to lead children as they progress into adulthood believe that a character is so amazing and does the right thing and is so, a powerful message for doing what's right versus wrong. And then once they get emotionally attached in this character, 4 or 5 years down the road, the comic book is like, wait, all that right versus wrong stuff, that doesn't matter. What really matters is I'm gay. I'm transgender. But that's representation. No, what that's doing is telling, hey, if you want to be the guy that does things the right way, the good versus evil, the thing that matters the most is your sexuality. And nope. I am not going to teach that to my children. Their sexuality should have nothing to do with their identity that they choose to have other people communicate out in public with. Well, like I said, it's disrespectful and nasty for heterosexual people to do it. So I don't know why it's okay for homosexual people to do it. It's this constant, the way you think and everything is wrong. We don't want equality. We want to be able to spread our message and shut yours down. And call conservatives Nazis because they say we can't do the same things we're saying they can't. It's outrageous. And I can no longer accept that thought process. Stop supporting these comic book companies. Then it happens in a lot of big corporations, and I realize we have to have a job. Even where I work at, they do the Gay Pride Month or whatever. Everybody's got something to celebrate. And if you notice, it includes everybody except for white Christians. You know, and you can't even say Christmas anymore. You got to say Happy Holidays. But they are very open and proud when you know, their month, when all their days are called, and how dare you if you mislabel it. We're not even allowed to call our holidays what they are. It's really sick. But yeah, that's it. Probably not going to post this one, but that's where I'm at in life. Peace, y'all.